Hey, what's up? A few days ago, Sabin Badulescu put up a video. You might have noticed that he has increased the frequency of his uploads, which is great, something I'd like to be able to do. But a lot of these videos have seemed to be call-outs and criticisms of individual people. The one I want to look at is his criticism of Irakli Zirakashvili and his apparent Gynecomastia.
Problem is the Gynecomastia. It started to be very big and it's not the good way.
Admittedly, it was a very small part of the video, but it was, to my mind, the point of the video. He tells Irakli that his gyno is getting out of hand, as though this is the result of excess doping. At least that's what I got from it. But I see a few issues with that reasoning, so first let's quickly work out what exactly gynecomastia is, although by now we all have a pretty good idea. So gynecomastia is the growth of breast tissue in males, stemming from an imbalance between the androgens and the estrogens in the body. Normally, or ideally rather, these levels are balanced and the male has no visible growth or swelling of breast tissue. This is not including muscular hypertrophy, of course. There is also pseudo-gynecomastia, which is basically just having a lot of fat in specifically the breast area for males, but that itself is not hormonally related, although the excess fat could be hormonally related or hormonally affecting. And what exactly does this have to do with anabolic androgenic compounds? Surely those bolster the supply of androgens against estrogens, which we assume is the cause of this gyno. Well, that's where you are wrong, buddy. It is a common and reasonable thought that simply increasing the amount of testosterone or compounds similar to testosterone simply increases the amount of testosterone in the body, which it does, but testosterone is also converted through aromatization into estradiol, which is one of the estrogens in the body. So essentially by pumping huge levels of the male hormone into the body, you are also inviting the risk for a lot of it to be aromatized into the female hormone. If you are a female, you will be aware of this, but on an influx of estrogen levels in the body, say around the period or pregnancy, the body often gets bloated and less defined due to increased water retention as a side effect of increased estrogen. And the other effect of heightened amounts of estrogens, either in contrast to lower androgens or simply it can just be high levels of estrogens overall even with high androgens, is gyno. Even just puberty can be enough to trigger it, but high levels of female hormones often lead to female-type growth in either gender. Realistically, this is not really an issue except for the possible negative impacts of being bloated or having breasts. Bloating and gyno are mostly a cosmetic issue with no real functional injury. But for most people, this undesired cosmetic is a significant reason for distress, and so tactics are deployed to counteract this in the form of AI or aromatase inhibitors, or if it has reached a late stage, then surgery can be required. So in the case of someone without natural gyno, someone who theoretically might be nibbling on the pancakes, if whatever pancakes they were enjoying led to heightened levels of estrogen in the body, it would be sensible at the first sign of issue to deploy these aromatase inhibitors. So back to my disagreement with Badulescu on his comment about Irakli's excess use of anabolic pancakes, with gynecomastia being something like a result of hitting some nebulous level of use. I don't really see that him having gyno would be a one-to-one coincidence with an excess use of anabolic steroids in the sense that his dose is simply too high. You could say that with a higher dose of testosterone or testosterone-based compounds, then yes, the estrogen runs a risk of increasing, and this could also be an effect of excess time of use since the estrogen levels do build up over time. But people often get gyno as a result of the first time they ever touch anabolic steroids. Are they using excess amounts? Well, in regards to what would be an ideal amount for them to use without gyno, then yes, they are. Just like everything, different people have different bodies and in this case different sensitivities to hormonal imbalances. But in terms of the amount of steroids used that result in gyno across all people, it's not really a dose-dependent issue. It's more than anything a lack of precaution or defense deployment. And this is assuming this is actually gyno induced by heightened levels of estrogen in the body. As we said before, heightened levels of estrogen often give a wet and bloated look to a person. And as far as the average person goes, Irakli does not look particularly bloated, to me at least. If anything, he has the bloated face that steroids often give, which work to make him look older. And if he did stop taking things, he would probably look much younger in a few months. And also there is a possibility that if he is bloated, it could be a side effect of growth hormone, either instead of or as well as, since this is a well-known major side effect of growth hormone, and it's pretty well believed that most top-level arm wrestlers are on those particular flavours of pancakes, especially on the eastern side where it is quite easily available in generic forms. I will probably do a video on why growth hormone is so popular with athletes, especially arm wrestlers, so let me know if there is interest in that and I'll prioritize it. But anyway, the next point, progestins. What are progestins? Well, it's another form of hormone, but this is an entirely synthetic and non-naturally occurring hormone, designed to imitate the natural hormone progesterone and interact with the progesterone receptors in the body. So what is progesterone? You might or might not have noticed in the name itself, esterone, similar to estrogen. So we can deduce that progesterone is on the typically female side of functions, which it is. And among other functions, progesterone is involved in the growth and production of the mammary glands, normally in females. And this action is enhanced in the presence of estrogen in the body. So high levels of estrogen through unmediated anabolic use can also work to enhance the performance of the progesterone in the body. So on to the point. Trenbolone. Trenbolone is a very popular steroid, as we know, but it is not in any way used or made in medically proper facilities. There are no pharmaceutical uses of it in humans, only in cows to improve meat, amount, and leanness. But unlike testosterone, Trenbolone is in no way estrogenic, meaning it has none of the estrogenic impact that we described above in reference to testosterone and testosterone-based compounds. No, Trenbolone is a whole different game, and it has no drive towards bloating or fluid retention, so this is often called a dry steroid, and this might be one reason that people see themselves getting leaner with it. As they grow muscle, it is not so masked by water and is more clear. But Trenbolone is a very potent compound to the progesterone receptors, and so through this channel, as we said before, Trenbolone, whilst not estrogenic, may actually induce gynecomastia or something like gynecomastia, although the exact process of this has not really been worked out yet. So through all this, we've worked out that despite him not seeming exceptionally estrogenically bloated, it is still possible that if Irakli has gyno, it could still be a result of anabolic pancakes. But again, this is not so much a case of he has used too much and so now he has gyno. It's more a case of he has not deployed pharmaceutical barriers to this development if it is happening. And as many people have mentioned, his nipples have not suddenly turned this way overnight, or even recently. They have, for as long as most people have seen him, been this way. Compounded, of course, by his preference for tight shirts. So it could be that he got gyno at some point, either through pancake nibbling or ordinarily natural processes, and he is actually doing his best to prevent any further development, which would point to Irakli actually taking pretty good care and precaution towards these issues, since they don't seem to have escalated further over time, despite his growth otherwise. And a final point I would like to bring up, if Badulescu is referring to his use of excess anabolics and or the use of Trenbolone especially, why is he castigating Irakli this way when his own ban from the WAF is listed as being from Trenbolone metabolites found in his anti-doping sample? Although, to be fair, exactly what he is suspended for varies depending on which version of the WAF-sanctioned athlete list you look at, with the April 2019 version stating Trenbolone metabolites and the March 2022 version, which is up on the WAF website now, stating testosterone and 5-alpha-adiol. So some clarification on the part of Badulescu would be useful here, if only to further point out the errors in the WAF. I have no issue with Badulescu, and it is probably with good intentions that he has said these things to Irakli. It's brought in views to his channel, and it prompted me to make this video, so it is an overall net positive. But it is a very interesting subject, I think, if we are prepared to dive into pancake use across arm wrestling athletes. It is one that I think quite clearly defines a difference between either East and West or something more like tournament and supermatch style of athletes, but perhaps not even that. There is obviously PED use across all levels, but there is some distinction somewhere. I'm just having a hard time at the moment pinpointing how exactly to frame that distinction. So if you have any ideas where that line might fall, let me know, but otherwise, until next time, I'll see you later.